beautiful people. A namaste, a salami. Be excellent to each other. I was cleaning the garage and I came across the plastic tote containing the last of my masks, which I had actually thought was lost. So I'm glad. You know, when you clean, you discover so many things that just kind of fell somewhere in the cracks in between the cushions. So I want to show you what I've got, what I found. I never sold this one, but I always liked it. Some masks, I'm glad to be able to keep that nobody wants. This is Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. See? Cool. This is one I'm especially proud of. I call it Fathom. This is an aqua suede. It's lined with similar and seashells, starfish, little sand dollar. Full fathom 5, thy father lies. Of coral are his bones made. These are pearls that were his eyes. And nothing of him doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his bell, ding dong. Hark now I hear them, ding dong bell. I did a lot of skulls. If you have access to my Facebook page, I have a photo album that is photos of all the masks that I ever did. So these will probably all be included. This originally had white wings on it, but the wings were kind of cheap. I don't know what, I think they may have just been turkey feathers and they aged and faded. So I just ended up cutting them off. This is a woman's mask. My model Dana modeled this in a really good picture. Yeah, I called it Winged Victory, but now I guess it's just Victory, or I forget, I gave her another name. I like that one though. It says, "Come, kiss me." Here's one that is based on a Catwoman, kind of. It's a cat mask originally, with a little ankh in the center and spikes. This is kind of a standard shape for masks that I do. This is an aqua suede. It was a real nice, here's the inside. That's lined with black cardboard. No, it's not. It's not velvet. Think harder, Homer. Uh, okay, I've just lost the word. There's this fuzzy stuff inside my mask that make them comfortable. It'll come back to me in a minute to mock me. Okay. Here's one that is only half done. This is based on felt. See? This is based on a tragedy mask, and it's not finished, it's not lined, but this gives you an idea of the way that the method that I use to fold the leather into the inside of the mask. I once had one of these I had made of red leather. It was at a Pennsylvania Renaissance fair. Um, a guy comes up to me and he holds it up and he looks at the tag, which I guess I had been unclear about the way I wrote it, and he says, 300? I was asking $30 for it, but the way I had written it, it made it look like 300. So I said, yes, and he gave me 300 for it. I think that's the most I ever made off a mask. So, good thing if you can't write well, you may actually end up making more money than you planned by having terrible penmanship. This is my Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. Another one of my skulls. I think that's all I've got over here. Oh, potato chips. Here's another example of one that is not finished. I could finish if the problem with finishing some of these masks is I ran out of a place to get these leather straps. You would think it wouldn't be a problem. At the time that I gave up years ago, I used to be able to buy a whole skin. I would say I want 1 grain leather, black leather, and just cut it into a half-inch strip. and they'd send me a box of it, and I just cut off an 18-inch piece for each mask, and they're out. But now I can't get anyone to do that for me, and it just looks terrible if you try to hand cut um, the strips. It just looks awful. So I started to do um, str- uh, strapless masks, and I've got some here. I'll show you examples of. Here's a standard domino um, with a pentagram in the center. It is kind of an almost teal green leather. I could use a drink. I regularly like to put on at least once a year, um, mink oil or neat's foot oil just on the leather part of the mask to keep it fresh. And for God's sake, never leave these on the front seat of your car in the heat in the summer, because it will look like a record when you get back. Um, not not pretty. Um, yeah, so this was Holly Berry came out with a much maligned Catwoman movie I never saw, but the mask she wore was similar to this. I was lucky to find just this mold one Halloween. I think it's Spirit. You can see again my method there. So all I need to do would be to punch holes here and here and rivet on an 18-inch uh, strap in order for this to be complete. But lately I find that having a strap on a mask is kind of old school. And if you look at a lot of more recent Marvel and DC comics, the villains don't have, it's not tied on with a strap. It's just like it fits their face, and God knows how suction cups or I don't know, leeches, whatever holds it on. Um, what I've been doing is make. Let me see if I can find one. I have examples of all of them. Yes, okay. This is probably my best-selling mask of all. Absolutely simple domino. This is based on the shape of Robin from Batman and Robin, and it's just leather. But what I have done is left a little space here and a little space here with just the leather, so that you could put on either spirit gum. Actors know what that is for makeup. I've been using like double-sided stickums or double-sided tape, and as long as you're not doing gymnastics, it will usually stay with just that and comes off easily and really doesn't even make much of a mess. Okay, I got that one, that one. Another skull. This is black velvet, and I call it Jack. Um, it's an interesting effect when you have a black skull mask on. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's kind of a negative effect if a black person were to wear a white skull mask and a white person wears a black skull mask. There's an interesting contrast. Um, yeah, I'm actually kind of proud of that one. I'm proud of all of them. God damn it, why not? Here is a complete um, Holly Berry Catwoman mask that's been lined, and it attaches comme ça. All of these, I think I'm going to have to give all of these a good drink. I feel that their leather is thirsty. Ta-da! I kind of like this one. I think you could wear this with several different kind of costumes. This would go with. It fits really well too. I used to love to go to Spirit and find mask molds that were distinctive or interesting. The way that I made these was to take a gold or silver mask mold plastic, which came from Mauritius, which is I think it's a little island off of Africa, and they stopped making them. And I could not find any more similar mask molds, and they were dirt cheap. It was like $5 each. And that's the basis for all the masks that I had. And I would take the mold, draw the pattern on it, and then cut it out with like crane scissors or very fine, like cuticle scissors. Like these are, especially for going around curves, these little things are perfect. And you want a pair of crane scissors to do fine work too. One thing I find about making masks is that if you make the eye holes wider, people are more likely to trust you. If you make very small eye slits where people can only see a small amount of your eyes, it makes you somehow suspicious. It makes you somehow more menacing. I think that's why Catwoman is as huge, so you can see all our makeup and stuff. But that's something I learned. Also, red masks. People have an emotional reaction to somebody wearing a red mask because maybe it's just for Caucasian people, but when somebody goes red in the face, it's because they're having an emotional reaction. They're either angry or they're embarrassed. So, in either case, when you see somebody that is red faced, or even if it's just blood, it causes a visceral reaction that I didn't realize existed until I started selling red masks and saw that happen. This is similar to a skull mask. This I call Aron. Um, I used to call it Nazgul, but I didn't want to get into any copyright violation problems once Lord of the Rings came out. But actually, the version I like better was the one that I did in black leather rather than this black velvet. But this is nice too. I wonder if that's it. I think there's no, a couple more. This is what I call a demi skull, white leather. This leather came from a white leather jacket that I found in a Goodwill store and just used it for the leather, cut it all up. And lastly, this is was a Tookie bird. Now it's just a Tookie bird. I had all these blue, huge cock feathers coming out. It looked gorgeous. It looked like it was Aztec or something. And some cats thought it would be a fun toy, and they chewed up all those feathers. After a while, I stopped making masks with feathers because they're difficult to store to keep the feathers nice. They're really fragile. It's easy to mess up feathers, so I just stopped. I would still do. I'm not going to do any more masks. If somebody else wants to finish these, then fine. Um, I feel like I made enough. I wish I had some of the beautiful ones that I sold in the past, some of the unique ones. I remember going with my friend Mike to a San Francisco like arts fair, and he was selling, I think, his whips. I was selling my mask. There was kind of a BDSM thing going at that fair, and I did well. People liked my stuff. People from the BDSM community, in fact, I used to make, I don't have any here, but I had made um, blindfolds, which blindfold is just a mask with no eye holes in it. It's like this without cutting the eyes out, basically. And what's good about this is because it fits so close, you can't see by looking down or cheat in any way. So for purposes of blindfolding, doing one like this is the way to go, and they look nice too. I think I even made a Catwoman blindfold. One example I can't show you that I don't have any more of was my Julie Newmar Catwoman mask that sold hugely. It was my probably second bestseller. It was what I believe to be a pretty good reproduction of her mask from the 60s series. And in fact, somebody who had bought one came back to me at another fair and said that, that Julie Newmar mask that you sold me, I took it to a convention where Julie was, and she signed it. And she says this is the best reproduction of a mask that I have ever seen of that mask. And I had to stop calling it Julie Newmar masks because her lawyer sent me a cease and desist letter. Fair enough. I got a cop to that. Yes, I had no right to use her name, but that's what it was. I don't know. I hadn't really thought it through. I hadn't expected to be successful. Anyway, masks. There they all are. I learned to make these when Renaissance Fair was in Devore, and I was working at the booth of a leather mask maker, a girl named Lisa, and I watched just basically how she did it, how she cut out the shapes from the molds, attached the leather, lined them, put the straps on. It's not hard at all. And I kept suggesting ideas to her. I remember saying, "How about a Black Widow mask, right? It's all black, and make like fangs that come down here, and with a red hourglass right there." And the happy customer I sold that to was the um, masculine side of a pair of lesbians who just liked it. She was really enchanted with the idea. I guess maybe Black Widow had been a theme she'd been working on, and it looked good on her. She was really happy. I love to see when people put on that mask and then they look in the mirror and then they see something they hadn't seen before. You know, they see a possibility. They see a different side of themselves. I think when people put on some of these masks, well, the mask allows them to be somebody else. It's role playing, of course. You know, what we were doing at the Renaissance Fair, I guess, was really early cosplay. It was Elizabethan cosplay. And if I hadn't gone into Renaissance Fair, I have no doubt that I would have gone into cosplaying some of these conventions, you know, making myself a really nice costume. Because I love what people do at those conventions, even the improv stuff. There was a guy who went as Darth Vader. You can see that. Look this up on YouTube. He goes to a convention dressed as Darth Vader, and he would go up just in random people, security guards, anybody, and he'd go. And everybody played along with it. At least that I saw, like, that they showed. Everybody was like, it's hysterical to watch. I love. It's such a perfect example of Chihuahuas, of spontaneous street theater that I loved so much at Renaissance Fair. It's playing and pretending in a way that adults have forgotten to do, it seems. And I think we shouldn't forget to do that. I think it's fun. Anyway, that's pretty much all the masks I have for now.